Hello everyone, welcome back to the GDSC Skills UP sessions. I think this is our sixth sessions, and on today's sessions we will learn about tips and tricks how to navigate from students to professionals. You will learn from one of the experts. She is Thim from the. She is also a senior software engineer from Newswav. So super excited for today's sessions. Uh, but before we start, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Febria. I'm technical project manager for Google Developer Southeast Asia team. I'll be your host today. So hopefully you will enjoy today's sessions. I think this is also one of our last session for the GDSC Skills Up. So hopefully you learn a lot from the sessions as well. So before we start, I would like to ask you some questions. So we know like who are you and then where are you coming from and whether you are a student or not. So if you can help us, please put the answer on the comment box. That will be very helpful for us. So yeah, for me, I think I was a student a few years ago. And right now I am based in Indonesia. So nice to meet all of you. If this is your first session of the GDSC Skills Up program. So there are Ming from Singapore. Hi Ming, how are you? Also Fu. Hi Fu from Vietnam. Is there anyone else joining the sessions? I'll wait like 1 or 2 minutes so you can just type because I think some people take some time to type as well. Oh, there are Novi, fresh graduates from Indonesia. Nice to meet you. Students from Philippines. Oh, wow, we have, I think, almost all the region from Southeast Asia. So really happy to see all of you today. Okay, please keep the answer coming on the chat box. I'll move on to the second question. Um, in your opinion, what career development topics that you think will be useful for you and for your friends? Um, I think this question will also help us for the future's GDSC Skills Up program. So we can build something that really relevant for you. So yeah, I would like to see your answer on the chat box as well. Hi from Indonesia. Hi Theo. Hi Tatma from Yogyakarta. Nice to meet you. Please answer the second questions as well. What career development topics do you think will be useful for you and for your friends as a student that will be becoming a professional soon? Oh, Android or iOS development? What type of career development uh, topics that you would like to hear, Theo? About the management part or about the technical topics? More speakers talk about popular frameworks. Can you specify like what type of framework are you referring to, Pino? Keep the answer coming. I think I'll wait 1 or 2 more minutes before we start. Cloud security. Oh, I think people here, the students here, really keen to learn technical topics. Okay, understand. Probably next time we also can combine the soft skill part and the technical part. Personal branding for tech students. Okay, good one. Okay. We'll take a note on that. Any other one? If not, I think feel free to share the topics that you have in mind on the chat, so I can read that later for future reference. But now I think we can start to the next topic. I would like to introduce you about the GDSC Skills Up talk series. In this talk series, I think you will learn from the industry expert about career in tech and how you can level up in your career planning. So this is the type of sessions and talk that I wish I have from during my student year. But yeah, I don't think there are many this type of events back then. So I really I really hope that this event will be useful for you. So yeah, I think as I mentioned, this is our sixth series. So if you would like to, if this is your first time joining the sessions, feel free to go back to our YouTube list to see the previous sessions as well. So I also would like to thank you, Google Developer Space, for letting us use the YouTube channel today. So yeah, if you interested to learn about Google developer programs and startup programs, feel free to go to their website, devspace-hg.dev, especially if you are based in Singapore. Usually they have like offline events also in the office. So if you interested to join, feel free to check their website. And please stay connected with us so you can get the latest update on Google events or Google latest product updates by scanning this QR code. So you can also follow us on Twitter or on Facebook, or also subscribe us on YouTube. Okay? Don't forget that. That's the important part. Okay. Next, back to the main topic. I think today we will learn about some tips and tricks how to navigate from students to professional world. So I hope that you are ready for this topic because I think I really excited for this topic because I really wish I know this when I was starting my career in tech because back then I work as a software engineer and I really don't know anything about the like the work environment. What should I do as a newbie and stuff like that. So I hope that you will learn a lot from our speaker today, Thim. She is a senior software engineer from Newswav. So she is also a WDA, Women Developer Academy graduates 2022. So without further ado, I will invite Thim to the stage. Hi, Thim. How are you?
Hi, Fibra. Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm super excited for your sessions. Are you
Yeah,
ready?
me too. Yes, super ready.
Okay, then I'll leave the stage to you now. Yeah, please enjoy yourself.
Yes, thank you, Fibra. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the GDSC Skill Up series, the sixth section. My name is Thim, and today I'll be covering the topic of from students to professionals. Okay, so I know that some of you might be graduating soon or might already be graduated. So I want to congratulate you all for your achievement, and I hope that today my sharing session will give you some help on your new upcoming chapter of life. Okay, so what would you expect at the end of this sharing section would be the first of all, we will talk about the preparation of transitioning into a professional. Then I'll share with you some tips and tricks of interviewing, of attending an interview and hacking your first day of work. Lastly, I would like to share with you also the things that I wish I knew when I started working. Okay, so I'll do a little bit introduction about myself. My name is Thim again. I'm a senior software engineer in Newswav. Newswav is a startup based in Malaysia. It's a news aggregator application. And I graduated from bachelor degree in internet technology in TAR University College Malaysia. I am also a graduate of Google Women Developer Academy of this year, 2022. I joined several startups in my past 8 years of experience. I was a Sugarbook employee, a dating website platform company, and I was part of Custom as well. Uh, Custom is a used car commerce platform which recently became the first startup unicorn in Malaysia. So all these startup experiences actually have made me become a full stack developer. I've become a backend developer. I've become a front end developer. I've become a DevOps engineer, and now I'm mostly focusing on mobile development. I am particularly enthusiastic with Flutter. So if you guys are interested to know more about Flutter, feel free to ping me on LinkedIn, and then we will talk more about it from there. Okay, without further ado, let's dive into the first point of the transitioning into a professional peer competition. Okay, so now you are a graduate and you are searching for a job. Your peers, your classmate have gotten a job and you haven't. It is totally okay. You do not need to feel down or defeated. This actually kind of resonates with me. It took me about 3 months to land on my very first job. And while some of my classmates have already gotten their job in their first month after we all graduated. So yeah, during that period of time, the 3 months of time, I have been working a lot on my building up my own portfolio, and I did some fun small projects to showcase for the interviews, because I had no prior working experience, just like every other fresh graduate. So I had nothing to showcase. So I thought that maybe I can do some fun projects to showcase. That's the very least I could do at the point of the time. So if you are a software developer, you can be like me, do some small and fun project like let's say what to eat nearby, be it web application or mobile application, depending on the role that you are applying for. So and if you are interviewing for data scientist job, maybe you can build a simple chatbot project, yeah, to showcase during your interview. Also, what you can do is you can join more programs and to extend your connection, which I think you guys actually did a pretty good job by joining this Skill Up program. The people that you are connected to right now might get you a job sometime in the future. You wouldn't know, right? So yeah, if all those doesn't work, you can try to join the career fair that are locally available in your area. But most important point is that you have to make sure that your CV, your resume, and your LinkedIn profile is built up nicely. So for this resume part, I think it's covered in the first section of this Skill Up series. I'm going to cover a little bit on the how to build up the LinkedIn profile later on in the tips and tricks section. Okay, so given that you are now landed on your first job, you have to prepare mentally about adjusting your focus. You are no longer in the college or university. You have to do a lot of things independently already. You don't have a tour guide in front of you to guide you through of your working life, and there's no such thing as syllabus also in your working life. In school, the focus was all about like meeting your needs. You can choose your classes, your instructor, your schedule, and the people that you want to spend time with. But that's not something you can do as much in this working life. Okay, first of all, you have to think like an employer. You have to think from business perspective, how to increase revenue, how to make things better, and how can you contribute to business needs so that you can succeed in the workplace. And for the social transitioning, you might be losing or might not be losing plenty of friends connection just because you guys are not spending enough time together already, just like back in university time. But no worries, you will gain some of the connections, some friends during working life. And also you might be sacrificing some of your social activities like hanging out with friends, hitting the gym, because you have much lesser free time already. Every day you come back from work, you would just want to wind down and rest as much as possible. You might not have ample free time as you have during your university time, but it doesn't from block you out from socializing. You have to take some time to learn how to balance out the time for your personal life, for your working life, and for your family time. So on this battlefield, yes, I call this working life a battlefield. You can't wait to be more assigned. You need to be more proactive. You have to reach out to more people. You have to get to know more. opportunities, join more programs, and expose yourself to more connections in order to step up your career. So what you can do is there's plenty of Facebook group out there that you can join that are actually relevant to your career. You can join them and then be more active on that group chat and reply to the suggestions. Reply to the feedback that or was any suggestions that people are asking for, or even if there is a interested uh an event that you are interested in, you can just join in and listen, and then you can build up more connection from there. Okay, we are now on the open-minded point. So I think open-minded is one of the soft skills that everyone should master. Being open-minded is being able to consider others' perspective or to try out new experiences. If we are comparing open-minded people and closed-minded people, people who are more closed-minded, they are usually not receptive to other ideas. They are only willing to consider their own viewpoints. Basically, they are living in their own world. So yeah, that's not quite good. So I first started my career as a UI UX developer. I do a lot of design. I did a lot of coding, not a lot of coding, like a little bit on coding, but then I became a front-end developer and then a back-end developer. And now I'm working on the mobile development. So never limit yourself to a certain scope. Some of the people I know, they actually did career pivot from a software engineer to product manager to data scientist, etc. So you might eventually find out that maybe one day you'll find out that the things that you are working on is not something that you're looking for. And it's totally okay to do career switch within the tech industry. It's never too late to start. Okay. If you are only working on the stuff that you are being assigned to, you will never outgrow yourself. But if you are willing to take more responsibility, you will actually grow much faster than anyone else. Okay, so I'll just share the journey of me becoming a full stack developer during my first job. So when I first started, like I mentioned, I was a UI UX developer. I my coding skill wasn't that good, and I did a little bit on the front end only, and then the developer settled the back end and the front end code. So we were under manpower back then, so I have to pick up the front end. And then when I was picking up front end, and then I realized that back end is quite fun as well. So why not I just ask for the guidance, and then I asked for developers, my senior's guidance, and then he was willing to help me out, and then he got me through the journey, and then I became a backend developer as well. Yeah, that's how my full stack development journey started. So yeah, so okay, so not really that the things that you want to take more responsibility must be related to tech. Okay, I'll just give you another example. So let's say that you are in a team that full of skillful people. They are very good in coding, very good in their own area, but you realize that something is lacking in the entire group, like let's say public speaking skill. So maybe you can propose to your superior and letting him or her know that, oh, maybe we can organize a once a month thing, like a public speaking event, so that we will pick one volunteer each month to to do the public speaking in order to improve the public speaking skill of everyone. So that's something that is a very bonus point that will impress your superiors, that you are actually able to take more responsibility that actually out of your scope. Okay, and then never be afraid of making mistake, especially during the early career life. After you guys graduated, the first 2 years is like the eh, when you make mistake, it is totally okay that your senior won't be blaming you much because they know that you are still very fresh, very young, and then making mistakes is kind of normal lah. So if your superior is good enough, they should be able to guide you and mentor you to the right path. And you will learn as you stumble upon mistake, right? Okay, asking for feedback. This is one of the point I like the most. Okay, when I first started, I was really, really afraid of asking feedback because I think I couldn't handle bad feedbacks. I know that um I know that I had that personality of my ego was high. I couldn't take very I couldn't take anything out of good feedback, but I actually learned it in the hard way. I know that I actually sometimes I did something wrong. I should be hearing feedback from others, but I didn't do it. So I am actually pretty regret for that. So that's something that I wish you guys would not repeat after me. So asking for feedback is really good. When you can ask for feedback whenever you are done interviewing, when the project is complete, when your probation is over, whether it is pass or fail, you can always ask for feedback, what you have done right and wrong. You will definitely gain a lot from all these good and bad feedback. Okay, watch and learn. You have to stay hungry, stay foolish, and keep learning and learning and learning. Always hungry for knowledge. You have to think yourself is not an expertise for everything, although maybe you are, but there's always buffer to learn. There's a lot of information out there that you haven't fully learned, and there's no such thing as like you have completely learned about a framework, let's say. There's no such thing like that. You can if you think that you are master the framework already, then you can just jump onto another framework and then to learn more. So yeah, you have to keep learning and learning. So you can observe and learn how the seasoned professionals around you to do things during your work, and then how the soft skill part lah. So how they present an idea, how they manage a project, how they manage a team, and how they handle failure. And yeah, this is very important. How they handle failure and all kind of scenarios. So you can seek their advice whenever you think that you should, and then maybe you can ask one of them to become your mentor, and then so that you can get more guidance along your career. Okay, so you find a similarity of all points that I've mentioned previously. It is all about dealing with people. This is why you need to master your people skill as well. Your workplace will contain diversity of people. They are unlike your peers anymore. They might be coming from different age, different races, different backgrounds. That you have to learn how to communicate and respect them. That's something that it will take you some time to learn, but all these things that you have learned will make you become a more professional and more sophisticated character. And then you have to be a likable. A likable character will actually make you more valuable compared to a skillful person, but very hard to work with. That's not something you want to work. That's not someone that you want to work with as well, right? So you have to be likable in the workplace. So and then you have to learn when and how to show empathy. So I'll give you an example. So maybe you know that your colleague is going through rough time, and then you can always cheer him or her up by speaking more to them, ask them how's everything, and although you can't help, but you know it's like just simple asking like how's everything, it will actually make someone feel that they are actually someone is actually taking care of them. The someone actually will feel that he or she is being care of. So let them know that you are always there to support them. Okay, so here comes the tips and tricks part. Okay, so the first one, attending an interview. So if okay, so there's a lot of interview that is done online nowadays because of pandemic, and you have to dress up yourself also, even if it's online interview. You have to comb through your hair. It, I I would suggest you to wear a collared shirt instead of t-shirt, because your t-shirt might be worn off, but you don't realize it. You know the what do you call that the this part of your shirt will become worn off. I've seen some candidates, they actually as if they are wearing their pajamas, yeah, which is quite bad to the interviewer impression. So you can wear a smart casual top, and then you can wear whatever on the lower half, as long as you make sure that you won't stand up. If you're not wearing anything, you make sure that you won't stand up during your interview. So for lady, You can put on some light makeup to look more refreshing, and then most importantly, you have to make sure that you have slept like enough one night before. Okay, so for if you are given a coding section, you have it. Okay, so I heard this from my recruiter friend. Okay, so he actually told me that uh the interviewer during a coding session, they actually uh would hope for the interviewee to ask more questions during the coding section instead of just dive right into coding part. So he actually had met like two people. So he had two candidates on hand. One is very skillful, like he the candidate actually score very well in the during the coding section, but then here I'm not sure about the gender, but I would name it as the candidate. The candidate actually didn't ask any question at all. So the candidate just did everything and then just submit, and yeah. But on another hand, there's another candidate. The candidate did a very good job by asking a lot of questions, asking for a lot of scenarios, and asking for a lot of edge cases that candidates should cover. But at the end, the candidate didn't really score well. But at end up, the interviewer actually picked the later one, which is the one that didn't really score well, but asked a lot of questions. Yeah, so you have to communicate more with the interviewer. Okay, so if you are given an algorithm questions that might look simple, but instead of you dive right into the coding part, you can always ask for different scenarios. What are the edge cases that you want to cover? For example, okay, the question could be something like this. Okay, when I enter for, the system should display FOUR for in Roman characters. So the questions that you can ask can be like, what if I type exclamation mark? What if I type Roman character? What should the system show? Like these kind of scenarios and edge cases that you think that is possible to happen. This actually will impress a lot for your performance during the interview. Okay, and you have to so at normally towards the end of the interview session, you'll be asked, is there any question that you want to ask? So you can ask appropriate questions. What do I mean by appropriate questions here is that something related to your career. It can be something like, what is your career growth in that position, and is there a mentor or senior that is actually being assigned to you, and anything you would like to know that actually more related to your career. And then last but not least, ask for feedback. Okay, you might think that you might not know the end result of the interview yet, but you can always ask for feedback whether which part of the interview that you think that the interviewer would think that you should brush up on, and then yeah, you can ask feedback from the interviewer. Normally, interviewers are very friendly and they will answer you. Okay, so now you ace an interview and you will gotten your first job. Okay, so what to do during your first day of work, right? So if you are doing your first day online, you have to make sure that you actually clean up yourself, like, and then for lady put on some makeup, and then you will have to make sure that you wake up earlier than usual to prepare so that you don't look like you just woke up face the just woke up face, right? So you don't want them to see that. And then you have to make sure that you actually have your camera turned on um, throughout the day if possible. But during the brief meeting, I think normally it will be for the first section will be there will be a brief meeting by HR. So make sure that you turn on your camera to impress the HR as well. Okay, so if you are working from office, you might want to do survey on the commute beforehand. Okay, so what will I do is that I will spend a weekday. I would go around the office during the working hour. Okay, so I'll note down the driving distance and the total time in the traffic. I will check is there a better route or not, or if you are taking public transport, you can find information online, and you can try to take it on the weekday as well, just to make sure that it won't go wrong on your first day of work. But of course, on your first day of work, you can always buffer like 15 to 30 minutes just in case of any incident happen on your first day of work. So you can find a cafe nearby, you can sit down and relax. So you go to you make sure that you reach the office like for about 5 to 10 minutes before the working hours start. Okay, so for the dress code part, you don't want to overdress or underdress if you are working from office. So you have to make sure that you actually ask the dress code, ask the HR beforehand, make sure that you ask during the when you sign the offer letter, or you can text the HR and asking for that dress code. You don't want to overdress. So normally for startup it will be semi-casual dress code, and for enterprise you require to wear more formally, but it really depends on the company. So yeah. And then okay, so at the end of the day you are about to leave. This is my opinion, this is what I think that my I think that the newcomer actually should have told me, so that I can have the better, what do you call that? So better closure. So it's better that you tell your superior that you are leaving, so that you give us a closure of that you are leaving now, and what you have. It's better that you explain what have you done for the day, and then let him or her know that, oh, you are actually leaving. Is there something else I can help you with? If there's none, that I'm leaving. Bye bye. Yeah, there's a closure that you can make with your superior on your very first day of work. And then last but not least, this is a funny one. Ask where the toilet is. So I myself, I tend to get butterfly in my stomach when I get nervous. So first day of work, normally I get really, really nervous. So yeah, so you wouldn't want to, you want to avoid those embarrassing moments happen. So it's better that you ask where the toilet is beforehand, so that you can, go settle your own thing without with knowing the toilet where the location is. Okay, so now we come to the improve a LinkedIn profile part. Okay, so I know that most of you will not have a project to showcase, but I'll teach you how to make your LinkedIn profile to look more pretty. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, you can do some small and fun projects, some simple ones, just like tic-tac-toe. Tic-tac-toe is too simple, but something meaningful like what to eat nearby and stuff like that. So you can do all those, and also your classwork. So I believe that throughout your journey, you have done a lot of classwork that much completed one. You can actually put it up on your LinkedIn profile as well. Over there on LinkedIn, there's an add profile section where you can add projects. So you can, when you are writing this description, you can associate it with your university. So yeah. So and also you can write about your curriculum activities that you have joined, so that your entire profile looks very fulfilled. Yeah. So, but then when it comes to writing the description, here's a technique I want to let you guys know, which is the why, how, and what framework. This is actually already covered by Hui Wen on last Saturday section. I'm not sure if any of you actually still remember or actually joined that section. So this why, how, what framework actually is being called golden circle. You start from why you are doing that project, what make you think that you started that project, and how do you do it, how do you tackle the issue, how is the solution being done, and what is it actually. Okay, so yeah, by using this framework, you can structure your description in a very nice way, and then letting people know that people can tell that uh, how compelling your description is, and then they will know how your project actually is being done, and then in a very nice way. It's like storytelling. Is when you're writing the description, you have to make it look like you are storytelling. Okay. And then lastly, you have to update your profile more frequently to get more exposure. So whenever there is a career update in your life, you can always update it as soon as possible, so that you can get more connections. Okay, so now it comes to the part that things that I wish I knew when I started working. It might not be tech related, but I really wish every fresh grads out there would know as I really wish I knew back then when I first started working. Okay, so firstly, manage your finance. Okay, saving up is an important thing. Everyone knows about it. You have to save up in order to get more saving, right? But keeping an emergency fund is equivalent important as well, especially during these 2 years of pandemic. A lot of people lost their job, and then they couldn't even afford their basic living because they don't have an emergency fund, and then they actually lost their income, and then they lost their basic living as well. So this emergency fund is, it helps in certain scenarios, like when you lose a job, when you need to fork out a big chunk of money to, let's say, to fix your car, to fix your household items and stuff. So keeping an emergency fund is very important as well. And then you have to have the habit of recording your expenses. Back then, I tend to splurge a lot on food until I actually record down my expenses, and then I realized that, oh, I spend too much on food. I should ration it. Yeah, so that I can save more. Yeah, that's what I did. And then you have to read more about finance management blogs. There's a lot of blogs out there, and then there's a lot of social media accounts like Instagram. There's a lot of profiles about how to manage your finance, right? So you can learn a lot of tips and tricks from there. Like there's a lot of techniques to save up, like 5 jar money management technique. Yeah, and then how to save up as a fresh graduate. You can learn a lot from there. Okay, so, and then the last but not least point, okay, the brush up your fundamentals. I think this point is mentioned by for the previous section as well, that the fundamentals is super important. Okay, imagine that you are actually building constructor, and you are building a condominium, let's say a high-rise condominium. So imagine that the structures are your fundamental. So if the base is not done properly, is not done right, you know what would happen when it, let's say, touch wood, collapse, and then it would cause lives. And then this, that's why I mentioned, I couldn't emphasize more than enough that fundamental is super important. If you are a software developer, you can brush up a lot on your algorithm and data structure. That's something that you can bring along, no matter what language you are on, you are learning, what framework you are picking up, it all will be very, very useful. Okay. Okay, so yeah, that's about it for my sharing session. So I'm gonna quickly summarize the points that we have gone through. So firstly, we talk about the preparation of transitioning into a professional. We talk about the peer competition, that you don't have to feel down, to feel defeated when you don't get the job while your peers had. So instead, you have to go out and get more exposure, and then you have to stay open-minded. You have to make sure that you are actually perspective perceptive to new ideas, and then you have to adjust your focus. You cannot think like a student anymore. You have to think from business perspective. And then last but not least, you ask for feedback whenever you think it's time to. Okay, then we talk about I share with you about some tips and tricks about attending an interview, and then first day of work, and then how to improve your LinkedIn profile. Okay, then lastly, I share with 2 points of things that I wish I knew when I started working. The first one is manage your finance. You have to save up. You have to keep an emergency fund. While while on the another point, which is brushing up your fundamentals, that fundamentals is super important. Yeah. So yep, that's it for my sharing session of today. I hope that you guys will gain some insights from my sharing section. And on the bottom left, I have attached my LinkedIn profile. You guys can scan the QR, and then you guys can connect with me on LinkedIn, and you can ask me anything that you want. I would love to help you out as well. Okay, so Vibia, hi
Okay.
Vibia.
Oh, I was muted. Hi. Hi
Hi.
again. That's really a useful tips. I also agree with you that I totally sport a lot on food. I think I need to learn that. since early age.
Yeah.
Okay, feel free for the audience. Feel free to ask questions on the chat box. We will answer your questions after this. But before we go to the audience questions, I have a question
Mm-hmm.
for Tim. Tim,
Yes.
what is the most interesting moment for you when you are just started your career? The most
What was
memorable one. The most
the
memorable. Mm-hmm.
most memorable one would be during my first job, I actually got the award of the best employee of the year. Yeah, that's
Ooh.
actually a happy moment for me, and I didn't think that I actually deserved it. Yeah, that's a
Uh,
quite a memorable one for me.
yes. Can you share from that award, like, what did you do until you win that award? Like, I believe that there's a lot of people on your company as well that looking for that award. But I'm curious, like, are you going over and beyond on your scope, and then you get the reward? Yeah, just wondering, like, how you got that. Probably you can share with the audience.
Okay, so that was my first job, right? So what I did was I was first started as a UI UX developer, which I did some designing and
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of coding on the front end side.
Yeah.
So we were under manpower back then, so I have to
Mm-hmm.
pick up a lot on the front end development. And then I actually saw that my backend developer actually kind of stressed out, and then I actually offer to help out, and then he was willing to help me out, and then together we actually built the backend and the front end, and then I also learned like
Ooh.
how to upload an application to cloud and stuff like that. So I actually did more than my scope. Yeah,
Mm.
so that actually I think that's why I deserve the best employee of the year for that I gained from my
Ooh.
superior. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I think when one tips that I can share with the students as well. I think from your experience as well, it's quite the same that learn a lot during your first work.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that will build you on your next role as well.
Yes,
I
yes,
think
yes,
I think
definitely.
that's work ethic, that you
Yeah,
work hard and stuff like that
yeah.
on the company, your dedications. Yeah, it's reflect on that. So yeah,
Mm.
that's one of the other tips from many tips that you already share to the participants. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any questions from the audience yet? I didn't see one. Then I have another questions for
Okay.
him. I have a lot of questions for you today.
Yeah,
uh,
wow.
yeah, you mentioned some tips for on the first day of the work. Usually,
Yes.
during the first day of the work, you will do onboarding process.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, can you share as a software engineers, or yeah, or people in the tech industry, like how the onboarding process is looks like? Will it different from the other function in the company? Because I believe that you need to understand the structures of the tech stack in the company. So would like to understand, like, as a newbie, uh,
Mm-hmm.
how's the onboarding sessions looks like?
Okay, so for tech is I think it's slightly different than other functions.
Mm-hmm.
So on your first day, you will be I think you'll be granted some rep. If you're a software developer, you'll be granted to some of the repository on Git, and then you will need to read through the code and stuff. I mean, you are not required to, but you will be given the access, and then you have the opportunity to read through a code, and
Mm-hmm.
then there will be the onboarding session where your superior will tell you more about what is the entire system architectures, and then they will show you a lot of diagrams, and then trust me, you can't understand like all at one day. So if there is a documentation, you can always read through it. I mean, like during the day,
Mm-hmm.
and then other than when they are presenting, right? So you can read through during the day, and then you can read through the codes as well during the day as well. So normally first day will be all just about like reading and reading and reading. There's not much things on hand until the second or third day that you are more familiar with the codes already. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, no worries.
Uh, I think I also have another questions. You mentioned about documentations.
Yes,
Uh,
documentation.
I believe that documentation in tech is really important. As
Yeah,
a newbie, how do you think you can build like the what is it called? Uh, the mindset like to always documented everything that you work on. So
okay,
everyone, it's easier for everyone like for the transitions. So
okay. So for this one, I believe that you have done a lot of homework, like when you were back in student time, right? So, right, to you, maybe you would think that, oh, finally, I'm working right now. I don't have to do anything like this. But then documentation, like Vivian mentioned, is very important in tech industry because that's something that, when you write the code, only you and the God knows like what are you writing. But then maybe like 1 month later you actually forgot that, oh, why did I write this piece of code, right? So yeah, documentation is not just helping you yourself, also is helping others to understand your code, like what is the structure, and then what columns you have added into the table, and then what is the function doing. You can all document it down in one document so that it will be useful for yourself in future and your colleagues as well. Yeah, that's a mindset I think
okay,
you have to switch as well.
okay, that sounds great. Oh, I saw one question from the audience from Muhammad. When we start focusing on the professional world, which is better between being a generalist or a specialist, from your
Okay,
opinion?
so from my opinion, I will split into two parts. One is the if you are a fresh graduate, I would suggest you to work towards more the generalist one, because as a fresh graduate, you wouldn't know like what you are good at, what you really like about it, whether you like front end, you like back end, or you like DevOps, or you like data stuff, you wouldn't know. So you can try to learn as much as possible from different areas. And then when you think that you actually like one part, and then you specialize on it, that's that's where it comes in your later career path.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay, hopefully that's answer your question,
yeah.
Muhammad. There are another questions from Novi. Hi Tim, thank you for the insightful presentations. Really get along with the new tricks and insight from you. Wanna ask, can you share about how it's like on working in startup and any challenges? Because I think you
Okay,
you are
yeah,
move quite a lot, right? Like four company, three
yeah.
companies, right?
Yeah, three companies. So I like this question actually. So yeah, working in a startup is actually pretty exciting and pretty challenging as well. The pace is super fast in startups, especially early startup as well. You have to build a product super fast. You cannot really like mix. You cannot really, as a tech point of view, you can't really make sure that the code is really perfect, and because there's no perfect in startup, right? Because the
Mm-hmm.
product keep changing and changing and changing, your code might not be keep up with the scope already, so you have to keep on
Mm-hmm.
revamping and revamping. That's why there's a lot of new stuff to discover. And then because of this, um I actually able to explore a lot of new technology, because I've I'm given such opportunity to do that, because it's new thing, right? So I have
Yeah.
new opportunity to learn, to pick up the new technology, and then I apply to it. Yeah, that's something that very exciting. That's not something that the enterprise would normally practice, because
Mm-hmm.
using new technology is very risky to them. Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why startup it has the privilege to do that. And also working in startup, except for the fast pace, right? So I think one of the things I like the most is the people. So over there in startup, the people is kind of different with enterprise. They in startup you is more young and energetic because the it's not everyone, it's not suitable for everyone who actually can move very fast, and you have to be very intelligent to work in the startup. So yeah, that's something that I think I like the most as well, the people in startups.
Oh, I have
Yeah.
questions. When you start uh, finding your role, why you choose your
Mhm.
first company? I think it's also a startup, right?
Yeah. So actually I approached this company because I find that I didn't know what I wanted. I only know that I'm good, a little bit good on design, and then I could do a little bit of front end coding. So, and then the description exactly match what I really want. And then when I
Mm-hmm.
first met with the founder, we actually quite clicked a lot. We click a lot. We can get each other points. That's why I choose this company instead. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think the other point of the exciting part of the startup that you just mentioned is
Mm-hmm.
working closely with the founders, right? Because
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
the hierarchy is not that high.
It's very flat.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's very straight. So I think everyone has their own capacity and capability to work
Yeah.
closely each other. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
one of the privilege as well working in startup.
Yes.
Next question from Pino. Do you think it's necessary from one job to others? I read somewhere that to avoid professional burnout and to encourage growth, we should often change our working environment. Is that true?
Mm, you mean
What do you
from
think?
one job to another,
To
as
other
in
job?
you jump? Okay, so yeah, I okay, maybe in terms of the salary growth you will gain from there, but then in terms of your mental health, I don't think it's true that you this would actually help, because from you jump from one place to another, you can't make sure that you are not sure that whether the new workplace actually is it will it take you more energy and more effort to work or not, comparing to your existing one. So it really depends on luck also. And also I think that this is not really true. So to avoid professional burnout, I would think that balance out your own personal time and working life is very important. You have to learn how to balance it out. Yeah, that's very important. So I have learned somewhere that people are talking about work-life balance, right? So actually, instead of work-life balance, I actually prefer more about work-life harmony, because
Mm,
especially nowadays we have been working remotely, and then we have been working day and night, and then yeah, sometimes I work until day and night, but then in between I take a lot of rest, but then I will make sure that my personal life and my working life actually both are actually harmonized with each other. Yeah, so that I won't get burnt out that much.
okay. Yeah, I think that's a good tips as well. Yeah, hopefully Pino it's answer your questions. Any other
Yes.
questions from the audience? Probably we can take like one or two.
Yes.
In the meantime, while we waiting, back to my
Mm-hmm.
questions again, Tim.
Yes.
If you can go back time to the young Tim that just
Mm-hmm.
graduated from the university,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say to your old self? What suggestion you
Okay,
will give her?
that I would give her, I would
Yeah.
ask myself to okay, so I've thought of this actually, and then I've thought of this in two parts. The first part is that if I can go back in time, would I choose the same path again? Would I still join the startup journey again? My answer is definitely yes. And
Mm-hmm.
then the second point I want to give the old self me, right? So
Yeah.
is that I've I have to pick up the points that I actually presented earlier, the things that I wish I knew back in time,
Mm-hmm.
which is the first of all, manage your finance is very important. And then secondly, would be brushing up your fundamentals. So in the beginning, I didn't because nobody told me that the fundamentals are important. So back in
Mm-hmm.
time, I didn't know what is array, what is object, what are the differences until I learned more about backend development, and then I realized, oh, this is array and this is object, and then everything just makes sense. Everything just the dots is just connected whenever I go to each language with each framework. I can just easily understand because I got the fundamentals already. Yeah, that is
Mm-hmm.
something that very
Agree.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I also will mention to my old self like learn the fundamental. I think that's
Yes.
really super duper important,
Mm,
especially in tech. If you want to switch around between mobile or website or
mm.
desktop apps, I think if you have the fundamental, you'll be good.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's also that things that I want to say to my old younger self, not old
Yeah.
lah. I'm not old. Okay, any other questions from the audience?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, if we don't have any more questions, I think we can wrap up the session. Thank you so
Yes.
much, Tim, for your time. I know
Thank you,
it's quite
Fika.
late in Malaysia. I really
It's yeah.
appreciate your sharing with us. Thank you so much also for the participants who already joining us from the beginning of the sessions. And then don't forget to if this is your first time seeing the GDSC Skills Up video, feel free to go back to our YouTube channel and see any other video that we have previously. So we have another 5 videos that you might want to check out. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night and see you
Thank you,
soon.
everyone.
Bye
Okay.
bye,
Bye
everyone.
bye.